All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll start with Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you everybody for coming. We'll go ahead and approve the agenda. Is there any additions, corrections at this time?
None here.
Now I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Ryan. We have a motion.
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Consent agenda. Is there any questions or items you would like to discuss? If not, I would take a motion to approve as.
Make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Ryan.
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, there's no visitors to the council. Under mayor's report, so you guys remember a couple of weeks ago, we had a big windstorm come through. It only hit major damage in one part of town. I'd just like to thank the city staff. The electric crew, I think, worked a 20-hour shift that night trying to get power to everybody. They had most people up in less than an hour, but they still had a few they had issues with. So they went above and beyond trying to make sure people got their power back on, which is good. We appreciate it. It's a lot of work. And the crew, the rest of the Public Works Department, was out there helping them with tree removal, and they were maybe finished up today, so they've been doing it over 2 weeks, just doing tree removal and trying to help clean up. So I do, it cuts into the time, and I do appreciate it. That's good staff we had there.
If people notice that they haven't had their trees and they're picked up yet, should they contact City Hall or?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. I know on Facebook I had someone ask, and I reached out and said, I know they were just finishing it up today because they had some huge piles at a couple of the churches, especially. There were some really big ones, like at St. John's. And, if somebody didn't, let us know at City Hall, and then we can relay it on to the guys.
Yeah. And bear with them, if you did have a tree down and they didn't get it, they're working on it. And also, if your tree was in your boulevard and they're coming back to grind stumps, it might take a while. They gotta get caught back up and everything else, but they will get it done. It's just when they get it done. It's gonna take time. It's not a top priority, grinding stumps, so. All right, public forum, I got no cards. Public hearing, street vacation. Wants to start on that?
Well, including your packet, you have a couple of items. This is an area of town that, as council's aware, the county has purchased the property to the north and west of it. And earlier this year, we received a letter from the county engineer talking about the accesses and a request for vacating those. They have their own plan for what they'd like to do for accesses, so that's why we have the hearing tonight. And the way that would work is that those vacations, the property would be returned to the people who own it on either side. So in the case of, I think almost all of them are county, would be on both. In this, there's one access where it would be split between two other property owners.
There's no more discussion. We will open the public hearing. So, does anybody in the public have any comments, concerns they would like to address the council with over the street vacation?
Where is it?
It would be the property north of Quick Trip that goes between Foots and Tunes.
And all the way up
And-
to the quarry.
And all the way up to the quarry, yes.
That's right.
Because the county had bought the property to the north and then taken back their
Package Road.
package road that no longer is gonna exist there. They put a park out there, a wilderness park. So now this was a street that could go somewhere, now it's a street that's gonna go nowhere because the county has eliminated it.
Parts of our driveway are in the county property and was, okayed by Schluty when he had the property and now the...
Can you come up to our microphone, please?
Ian, would you mind bringing up that one map, just so we can all see it? Or you can even bring it up on the GS if it's easier.
The western part of our driveway, the end of it, is in actually county property. It was given an okay by Schluty when he owned the property, and then he turned around and sold it to the county. Is that gonna be a problem?
We'll zoom in and then we'll take a look at the property lines here. And you can see all the, if you, zoom in, so those little chunks that come off of the frontage, where they would have, those are the chunks we're talking about vacating. The one in particular she's referencing would just be the one between the homes there. If you can just zoom in a little bit more, Ian, there.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You can't click on it because it's...
No,
a
yeah, you
street.
can't click on it because it's right away.
But you can sort of see the faint gray line.
Yeah, like-
Well, so I mean, the parts of the road that would be returned would be the part that's north and the part that's south.
Yep.
Those are the pieces,
So what
the stuff
happens
that's on the county property, that isn't part of the, it isn't part of the right of way, so it's not being vacated.
Our driveway, I know this part, but the back side to the west of where the driveway ends, our driveway is on that property. And it was okayed by Schluty when he owned the property, then he sold it to the county. So now what happens?
Well, I mean, it's county property, so I guess, it would be a discussion to have with them.
Okay,
That, and they may be okay if you continue to access for the time being. It's their property, they may want to do something with it. I don't think the city council's aware of anything that would restrict you there, but it isn't something that the city has any control over.
okay.
Have you talked to the county?
Okay, and then what happened to that service road, our road that used to go in front of our house? What did they ever do with that? That service road between that come in front where Quick Trips drive in, they used to go over to Tune? Is that still a city street, or what is that? No, it's a county road.
All that is just...
Yeah, no, go ahead,
Do you
Brandon.
want me to jump in on some of this stuff?
Sure, Brandon, that'd be great.
So the old frontage road, the front side of the Toon property, that's still, city right of way. And that's shown on the plat that you have in the council package, so I think that's proposed to stay the same. The vacation between the Foot and Toon property there, I think that's Mrs. Foot there. That is correct, that part of that driveway did go on Shooty, which is now county property. So I think one thing that we could do is we can go to the county and ask them to convey a driveway easement over that corner of the property, if that is the case. I think it may be, just so we can accommodate the driveway that we have in there now.
So would you be able to reach out to the county and work with that, Brandon?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I think... Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Sounds good then. Thank you.
Is there any other comments from the public? Not, I will close the public hearing on the street vacation.
Is it closed now?
If you wanna talk, I can still open it back up.
No, I mean, it's done deal now?
We're gonna discuss it and then we'll approve or deny it, yeah,
Oh,
Okay.
okay,
within a couple of minutes here.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
I'm just curious whether it was a done deal or not.
Yeah, and then Brandon will reach out to the county and check on that.
There's only like maybe 15, 20 feet around the, where it turns
Yep,
on your property, so I don't think there'll be a problem with
but it'd
it.
be nice that if we can get it written up for you with the county, so then you know.
Yeah, so it's a done deal.
Yes.
Yeah,
So we'll have him reach out and then
Okay,
we'll be back in touch.
all right.
okay.
All right.
Should we wait to vote on this until we hear back from the county?
Well, I don't think what we're doing today, because obviously the part we're vacating isn't gonna be, it's not gonna be
Okay,
changed by
right.
anything the county wants to do.
So whether
At the
we
time,
vote-
I don't know what they're using it for. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being, I know they said they weren't sure it was gonna be a park, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just added it to the park eventually. So, I don't think that would be affected by anything we
Okay.
do tonight.
Right, just clarifying that one.
Mhm.
Including your package, you do have the resolution there. Thanks for preparing that, Linda. And it would be for vacating 18th Street, 20th Street, and 21st Northwest of the Casson Manorville Heights subdivision. And so it's the access that's up by the quarry, the one that's kind of in the middle, and then this one between.
Any other discussion from council?
Just to confirm, all those other ones go towards their forest area now.
Yeah.
They go into the field that's...
Go into the
that's
field.
existing.
Goes to the
Yeah,
forest,
and this
yeah.
used to be Allen Radels, and then it was Shooties, and then now it belongs to the county.
If not, I would take a motion to approve the resolution vacating 18th Street, 20th Street, and 21st Street Northwest,
I'll make-
Manderville Heights subdivision.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Paul. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next up will be a public hearing for the gambling ordinance.
Yeah, so including your package, you do have a copy of that well, and I know, Councilmember Ferris had a few questions, which is great, and we can talk through those tonight, or we can, after we have our hearing, we can figure it out. She just had a question on some of the clarifications. And we're not looking to have this apply immediately either. It's gonna be something that we had discussed, I think, maybe last month. We talked about it, basically just changing the way we do our lawful gambling.
Mhm.
It'll change it a little bit. If there's any questions about the idea, the concept itself, glad to talk about those tonight. Otherwise, if there's specific sections, we can go through those, and I'll maybe even have the city attorney, give us a little guidance too. That'd be great.
Sure.
Yeah, so we'll have the public hearing, and then
Okay.
we can talk through it.
All right, so I will go ahead and open the public hearing for the gambling ordinance. If there's anybody in the public that would like to come forward and talk about it. Seeing none, I will close that public hearing, and we can discuss some more.
You wanna go through the ones you
Sure.
have, Mel, that'd be great.
The only things, and they're not major things, they're just things that are not terribly clear.
Sure.
And when it's something like this where it's allowing or disallowing somebody to do something, being clear is pretty important. But the first thing is, and Mel, you can tell me if this matters or not, but under Section 4 definitions, there's no definition of on sale. And I know that that's kind of one of those terms most everybody agrees to what it is, but it is specifically referenced in the ordinance as being part of the group subject to the ordinance. So that it could be helpful to have that clarified. And then the other things are, let's see, Section 8, Subdivision 8, Section 4. It just says lawful gambling would be conducted at more than 2 premises within the city as a reason why you would deny the permit. As written, that makes it sound like we could only have lawful gambling at 2 locations in the city as opposed to 2 locations for the person seeking the permit, 2 locations for the person owning the on-sale. It's just not clear.
Because I kinda look at it as, you have a minimum of 2, and if there's, but...
Yeah, and then Tim said this is actually the state statute part, and I thought, oh, well, okay.
But I agree with you,
Sure.
you can read it.
And then the same question for section, or let's see, subdivision 8, section 7.
Well, if you don't mind, can we deal with this one first? Because I'm gonna lose the sections and the subdivisions.
I've got it,
pretty quick.
I got it written down.
And I have so when I read this, when I'm reading, like I read this, the subdivision 8 part, it says, "The council shall deny an application for issuance or renewal of premises permit for any of the following reasons." And I think that what it says there is that, you can't have it at more than two premises in the city. So like, one individual, permit would only be good for 2 premises.
Oh.
Okay.
So like a specific
Okay.
group, like say,
Okay.
Castle Manorville Restoration or something like that.
Sure.
They can only have it at 2.
That makes much more
Does
sense.
that make sense? That's how I read it, that's how I interpret it, because you're talking about an application from someone else, not from,
Makes it really
not
confusing.
from us or something like
Right.
that.
And I was
Okay,
reading it,
Everything
that
here
makes
is in
more
a
sense.
positive.
you could have a minimum of 2,
All based
but I didn't
upon
realize,
Negative above it, right?
but when you put it that way, it makes sense.
Yeah, that's how I read it, so but it isn't the most clear thing.
Could we
That's
just
the way it's
add in
written up.
there,
As long as
As
it makes,
2 per entity? No more
Sure,
than 2?
I can add in
If
some
we
extra
add
language
that
there.
verbiage of no more than 2...
So maybe
per-
lawful gambling would be conducted at more than 2 premises within the city by a certain organization or something like
Yeah.
that. By one organization, would that make
That-
sense?
Yeah, within the city per ordinance.
Okay, and I don't know why the state has, I don't know
Yeah,
why,
sure.
because apparently they don't want you to have a monopoly on the lawful gambling, which is
Makes
fine,
sense.
which is, that's the way they have it written up,
Sure.
so.
So can I get some, I got a question here, I'd like clarity on the subdivision 8, it says the council shall deny. Does that mean that we have to deny it, or does that mean that we're allowed to deny it?
I take it that we have to,
Okay, I just want to be clear.
under these subdivisions.
Maybe we need a definition of shall.
I just,
But shall is.
Shall's a-
Definite.
that was my understanding, I just wanted to be clear, because this whole thing is written in like, it seems like they got two negatives going on, so it's kind of confusing. It's like you should deny it, and then they write all these things that are like in the positive, and it's very
Mhm.
confusing. But it makes sense if it's written by the state that it's like that.
And maybe that's what threw me, is the fact that it is written as a negative as opposed to a positive.
Sure, and I don't have, like I said, so for that one, lawful gambling would be conducted at more than 2 premises within the city by the same organization,
Sure.
or something like that.
This is the very next paragraph says almost that same exact.
It does, it's
Yep.
repeated, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it says an organization would be permitted to conduct lawful gambling at up to 2 premises within the city.
so that's exactly, yeah.
I don't know why they have it twice, honestly, but,
Okay. Well, yeah, 'cause my question about the next one originally, and then I crossed it out, is this in the right section? But,
yeah.
okay.
Okay, then what was the next one you
The
had?
next one was, let's see, my printer decided to cut out halfway through this page. I think it's page 5. So it is subdivision 8, section 7, and it's the same thing.
So page 4?
Page 5,
5,
second line.
Page 5, subdivision 9.
subdivision 8, so it's
It's
up
above
towards
the
the
sub-
top of that.
yeah.
It's the second thing at the top of that page.
Okay.
It will occur at more than one premises within the city.
So again, it's
And we
the-
shall deny it, okay.
You have to deny if exempted or excluded.
Sorry.
When the attorney is laughing at it, then you know it's weird.
Well, and especially because the exempted or excluded lawful gambling is bingo, isn't it? At the beginning of the ordinance? Bingo at a senior housing or,
Bingo conducted within the nursing home or senior project or by a senior citizen organization if the prizes for a single bingo game don't exceed $10.
uh-huh. So we, like I said, the way that part is written is just odd.
Sure, I mean, I guess, I don't expect the practical application of this to
Okay.
be wildly problematic.
Okay,
We're adopting what I would say 90% of the cities in Minnesota have.
okay.
So, but at the same time, like, what I can do is I'll sit down with Melanie and just make sure that we're really comfortable with the language. We've had the public hearing, and then we can just bring this back for approval at
Okay.
the next meeting. Okay?
Sorry to put the
No,
library,
I know.
hasn't had the
Like I
lawyer
said, I read through it, and it's
I
just a
don't
matter of
know
how
why.
you read through it and how you interpret what it
Yeah.
says. So, and maybe, sometimes the state is purposely a little bit
Screw.
jargony and confusing, so.
Okay. All right, thank you for addressing my questions.
Sure, you bet.
So that's,
Yeah, so we had the public hearing, we'll have that, we'll bring it back to council at
Bring it
at
back
the
at a
next
later date?
meeting, yeah.
okay.
I mean, we definitely don't want to get in the way of bingo.
Not for the seniors, for sure.
Or at the fair.
Or at the fair, or at, yeah, the city festival.
Yeah. All right. All right, thank you. We'll wait to hear back from staff on further updates. Next, excuse me, committee report, First Homes Concept.
Would you mind bringing that up, Ian? Thank you. So I'll just handle this one quick, and then Ian can talk about the next one under this committee report, but these are both coming from planning and zoning. This is a parcel that is in the Vale subdivision, which was constructed in 2022. This is a remnant parcel, it's about .8 acres. And you're familiar with this, this is a lot that was sold to the Dodge County Housing Trust Fund with the intention of building units there. This is design that's been kind of promulgated. It's a dense development, and 2 of the units are intended for disabled veterans, 2 for low-income families, and then I think the other units would be considered for market rate, because they can meet their requirement from the state. So the folks from First Homes have gone out and applied for a grant from the state of Minnesota to build these. these would be owner-occupied units. However, the land would remain in the housing trust fund. And the way they do that is it's intended to be a first-time home buyer, so it reduces the cost, aggregate cost of the property. So they'd own the property, it'd have its own taxable ID, but then the land is held in trust, so that in the future, it would reduce the cost presumably of the sale of that unit in the future. So, there would be requirements, we would have a PUD here, what that means is a planned unit development, which allows us to be more flexible with the setbacks, than you would be in a normal residential property. So, the feedback from planning and zoning was, I think, Ian, was positive. Staff feels like this is a good design. Originally, they had looked at 6 units with just a hammerhead, a dead end, and I think this is better for traffic flow. People will be able to pull in, pull through, and each one of these will be metered separately. If you can see each one of them will have its own water and sewer connection. So, they're looking at, I think these are maybe, I don't remember if they're 1,200 square foot units or 1,500. They're like 3-2 or 2-2 units, slab on grade. Not dissimilar to some of the other, if you've seen a twin home, it's gonna be relatively similar to that or a duplex. Ian's got the definitions for twin homes and duplexes down pat. We had that question come up with planning and zoning, so we felt like this was good for another dense development. The one thing that's not on here is that on the far sort of right southeast corner there, to the right and to the bottom, you can see where the trail connection comes in. There will be a trail extension propagated along the drive here on this side of the road as well as part of this subdivision. So basically, where the white is, you can kind of see where the driveway enters, and it's white there. There'll be a trail or a sidewalk access that'll go up to this as well. So we want to provide that as a connection point for them. So informational tonight. Obviously, First Homes is waiting on that grant application. Planning and zoning would be receiving that plat or the PUD at some point in the future, but I know we wanted to bring that to you just so you could kind of see what we were looking at, and if there's any questions anybody has.
So with the setbacks on would you say the north side next to railroad track, that would be not a big issue because it's just a railroad track back there. No.
Sure, and the other thing you can see there is it does go into that rear setback. However, there is an additional 10 feet.
Utility.
That is a utility easement, so it's still 10 feet off of that in
Mhm.
addition to what it would have been anyways, so. And that's one of the reasons we utilize that PUD process, because it does give us some flexibility in a development that's new like this, that allows us to have some waivers for setbacks there.
Yeah, see, they're building right on the 10-foot mark of the one.
Yeah, I mean, and this is obviously an approximation, but it'd be pretty close to that
Okay.
on that one. We wouldn't allow them to go into the utility easement, so.
That's what I just verified.
That's right.
Oh, all right. So that's just wait
Just
for
informational.
All right, thank
And
you.
then we'd move to the next item. I think, Ian, if you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so the next item is a request for a minor subdivision. I'll just pull it up here on the GIS so we can look and talk about it at the same time. But it's over on, at 206 3rd Avenue Northeast. It's a property owned by John Buckingham and some others. Let's see, so here it is on the screen, you can see it. Currently there's a single-family home and a detached garage there on the property. Originally it was platted as 2 different lots, but basically Mr. Buckingham's intention is to demolish the structures and ultimately construct a twin home on the property. And a twin home, by definition, has a property line running through a shared wall between 2 units. So I'll show the exhibit here. So this is the certificate of survey that's being considered. If approved, it would split the one lot into 2 lots with the property line running through the middle there. And so in the future, there would be, 1 unit of the twin home on one side and another unit on the other side. So with that, the twin home does require a conditional use permit because it's in the R1 single-family residential zoning district. So that will require a conditional use permit to be approved at a later date. We haven't had the submittal come through for that one yet, but the purpose of that one is really to cover any agreements that may need to be in place for any shared responsibilities between individual property owners for each of the units. And so with that and the proposal, there are 2 conditions proposed. One is that because the conditional use permit is required, that the actual minor subdivision wouldn't get recorded until after the conditional use permit is approved. And the second condition being that the structures are demolished before the minor subdivision gets recorded. That way we avoid a situation where we have a property line running through the middle of a structure that's not supposed to be there. So, Planning Commission discussed it at the meeting on Monday. Don't recall any major concerns about it. I did hear from a couple of other residents in the area that there are some concerns over the quality of the road there, 3rd Avenue Northeast, and some drainage issues present as well. So that would be something to consider going forward as we consider request for a conditional use permit in the future.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the biggest things that came up was, you know, and this is a very old, what year was it,
1876.
1876.
Yeah, so this is one of the original kind of plats in town, and that road, one of the residents brought up, you know, they didn't feel like a lot of work had been done on it, so one of the things I'm gonna be doing is talking to the city engineer to review this road and see if it's something that would be benefiting from an overlay. I don't know what kind of condition, in in terms of, I don't think there are any utilities there, but, because it's just kind of, it's an unusual part of town, kind of a historic part of town, and, so that's something that I'll be talking to Brandon about, is to seeing if there's any benefit in looking at a possible overlay to improve that, or if what kind of stormwater mitigation the city might want to look at doing in that area, if anything.
I think the only thing I'll add is that we looked at, Ian had presented the lot size requirements, and this lot is over twice the size as what we would require for what they're building, so, in terms of square footage.
I mean, it's kind of interesting, you know, he's got it zoomed in there, you can kind of see to the west, there's actually two lots that sort of parallel it. You know, you've got, the Drager property and the Lonzo property, like, so they're cut just a little bit differently, but it's interesting that you can kind of see where it would have been a double lot at some point in time, so.
Yeah, like at one point, there was a consideration to have this street run through, but of course you can see that never happened, and so that's just how that happened, I guess.
And the recommendation from planning and zoning was affirmative.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
More of an alleyway than it is a road.
I mean, I think some people might consider it to be, but I mean,
Yeah.
for some folks, this is the only frontage they have, so I mean, it
Yeah,
still is a street.
No, it is.
And a lot of times, it might have been an alleyway, kind
Back in the
of
day.
design at the point when it was built, that's
Yeah,
right.
when we were kids in west, or northeast in the 90s, that's what we called it, so, yeah.
Sure.
But-
It's probably carriage width.
Yeah, I mean, what is it, 14 feet, I think, Ian?
Or like, maybe even 12.
And maybe you could zoom in on Mr. Buckingham's other property, just indicate kind of what we're looking at
Oh,
in terms
sure,
of,
sure.
the style too. To go down to, just on the south side there, yep.
Oh, yeah, here. Okay.
Little houses that
That's
back
kind of
up
what
to
he's
the-
looking at
yeah.
constructing there, so.
Yeah, so something similar to this, where you can see there's a property line running through the middle there, but
Are there others similar to that on Second?
Yeah, between 34 and Second, there's a number of those,
Northeast, and
yep.
right behind it, basically. Yep.
Well, yeah, if we can get some more info on drainage issues.
Yeah.
Make sure we don't miss nothing there, and then check in more on that street.
You're looking for a motion to approve that then?
Yep, I would be looking for a motion to approve with the conditions as presented.
And then the staff will look at,
Yeah, to see if it's one that, you know, if it would benefit from a stormwater improvement or an overlay, that's
Okay.
right.
any more discussion from council? If not, I would take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Paul. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Up next, lots with no sidewalk.
So this is something that we've dealt with a couple times over the years, and most recently, I think maybe 2.5 years ago, Charlie went through and evaluated and found a number of lots in town that didn't have sidewalks. So we talked to the property owners, we requested that they, move forward with that, and, most of them complied. We did have one where there was no compliance there, for sure. And of course, the neighbor who did improvement had questions about that. So we're bringing it to council again just to look at the follow-up. I know, the mayor brought up some concerns he has about it in regards to drainage.
Yes.
So the one in particular that's in your packet, there's concerns that if the sidewalk was built, it would mound up along that property, along 9th Street Northwest, and it would not drain then. That lot would be, not draining. I don't know, I think there's probably some solutions to that, some kind of drainage, but, it is a buildable lot. At the time, people said, oh, well, we won't sell it. We have not seen any movement on any of those. So we feel like it would be it's time to revisit this and follow up again.
They're basically extensions of their current property.
Yeah. In essence,
Connected,
yes.
yeah.
So you've got these nasty gaps, in walkability.
So I had talked to the homeowner previously about this, after the last time we talked about sidewalks. And his concern is it's so high there that if you put the sidewalk in, right now he has an issue with the water, it backs up and gets near his garage exists already. And he's afraid if you put the sidewalk in, build it up to that level, that grade, that it's gonna back up and you're gonna have more issues. So we're trying to, I don't know what the right answer, I don't know, we maybe have to have the engineer maybe look at it, or the Public Works look at it and see, and shoot the grade. 'Cause I don't wanna have a sidewalk going and then create a flooding issue for people. So, if there's a way we can work around it with the homeowner, and so I don't know if Public
Yeah, and
Works...
there's a couple other lots in town, so I think, that's certainly something we can do. The other thing is, we're planning on doing a round of letters to the property owners reminding them that, yes, we need you to interconnect
Yes,
yours.
I agree.
Either that, or place the property up for sale. Because that is what you've said, you're gonna sell it. These currently, I know Linda said, they're not currently being listed.
Mhm.
So it makes sense for us to follow up, because otherwise you have these gaps in the network.
Yep, and that was our ultimate goal when we passed this, is to have that continuity.
And you can see on that same photo where other property owners have put in their sidewalks as we asked.
That's correct.
Yes.
Clearly see.
We wanna make
Yes.
sure we respect that aspect of it
Yep,
as well.
and I agree, yep.
I had a neighbor put a sidewalk into a cornfield because of this, so I could see them being upset about that.
So, if we could at least, this one I know about, if we could work with the homeowner, at least talk to him,
Sure.
see his concerns and see what we could possibly come up with a solution for him, would be great. And then I don't know about the other existing ones, but yeah, I'm not opposed to sending out that letter. I mean,
Okay.
we've asked, people have followed, but maybe we can, do a little more legwork on it and see where we're at.
Sounds good.
Rochester has that sidewalk program. It's a bigger program because it's a bigger town, obviously, and ours, we have so many different sections of town that have it, don't have it, had it, now don't have it. Would that be something that's beneficial in the long run for us, or is it just too big of a scale for a town our size with so many different pockets of age of homes and properties?
Well, I think that the concept is sound. It's a matter of the political will, because, there's a cost to that.
Yes.
So they're assessing everyone in Rochester.
Yep.
Every single homeowner and apartments are getting assessed for the entire town, and then they're rebuilding each section of town as they schedule it out.
Yep.
And I know, like, in parts of Casson, there's not enough room in some of the areas to put a sidewalk, because there's not,
The older parts of town.
there's not enough.
Yes. Or your
Space.
cul-de-sacs, like they don't have
Yeah,
room.
So it's,
Right. I think for us, I think if we can take care of some of these smaller areas, the goal will be when we do rebuilds, to really look very hard at, and I brought up 7th Northeast before.
yes.
Because that's a highly walked and, pedestrian traffic on that road.
Yeah.
And it leads from,
It has
if you didn't have the fairgrounds there where people cut through, it'd be really dangerous, because there's no way to get from one side to the other. And I know I walk on that regularly myself, but, so that'd be one, when we would rebuild, we might look at narrowing the road a little bit more to a regular street width, and then there would be enough space to put in that pedestrian sidewalk, at least on one side of the
Because they
street.
go, what, from Fifth to the east sidewalk?
Yeah, it's interesting, you've got on 7th, there's nothing, and then 5th, it goes north-south, you've got the trail that goes up to school, and then even on the other side of 7th, from 5th, you have a little, like, 2 blocks of sidewalk.
Yes, and then nothing again, and then it comes
So,
back.
I think it's doable, it's just a matter of, we have to be strategic about when we're prioritizing those sections, I think.
So I think we work on these, send out the letters, reach out to the homeowners if, you know,
Yeah.
see what we can do.
I just had a couple things I wanted to ask and/or comment. I guess first, I think we got 3 of them in our packet. Is there more than that we've identified?
Yeah.
Significant number? Okay, I kind of assume so.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say, significant's relative, right? I mean, there's less than 10 that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But there's
Oh.
more than 3, so not
Okay,
every
less than
single one.
10's not that bad then,
Yeah,
but,
well, we took care, I mean, a lot of the
There
folks
was more.
did, a lot of the folks did take care of it
Okay.
a couple of years ago.
I guess,
Great.
my comment is that, these sidewalks should have been put in when the subdivision was being built, so like, you know, they need to be done, like, it looks really bad on us as a city planning this out that they didn't get completed, right, having sidewalks to nowhere. And then I guess, to go with that, have we done something to prevent this from happening in the future?
Yeah, I mean, they did make a change in the subdivision code that they have to put the sidewalks in when the homes are built now.
Okay.
Whereas
Is it
before,
when the homes are built or when the road is built?
when the homes are built, that's when they put them in. So
But
like,
if you have an empty lot without a home, wouldn't we still not get a sidewalk?
yeah.
Like, my thought is like, when they put the road in, shouldn't they just put the sidewalk in?
And part of the problem is when they're building it, I know the builders would say, well, we don't know exactly how it's gonna set up because
Right.
we don't know how the lots are gonna be built on. So
So
like,
can-
if I put that sidewalk in, then you're gonna build a house, but it doesn't work for your driveway, now you're gonna have to tear that sidewalk
Yep.
back out again and rearrange it. I don't know, I mean, that could be something we could follow up.
Another part too is,
I think that's the biggest thing out of this, is we need to prevent this from happening in the future.
Sure.
and the other part is when you're building the lots, and when they sell the home, a lot of times you damage the sidewalk building the home, coming across excavation, so they don't wanna put them in until last. Because that's another added expense to the homeowner. if
Yeah.
they-
But I mean, I could definitely
I get
see your
it.
point, Paul. I mean, I live in a new subdivision, and I know, like, you know, like, so your point's exactly right. Like, and I can check with Ian maybe to follow up on this, because I don't know what the code does say exactly, Ian. But, so like in my subdivision, you know, my home was a spec, so I already had sidewalk, and the house was built when I bought mine. It was new, but it was spec.
Mhm.
But as the houses around me built, I mean, that's when they put the sidewalk in. They did not have it in there before, so there
Right.
were some gaps. And for example, like, if I would have bought the lot next to me that was vacant, that wasn't buildable yet, because the road doesn't go that far, you know, there wouldn't have been sidewalk on it. Now, I'm a responsible homeowner, I would have put that sidewalk, I'm sure,
Sure you
in
would've.
to interconnect to the network. But you, no, it's a valid point, you know, where you end up with these, where there's chunks that, and then who's on the hook? You know, who's supposed to
Yeah.
pay for it then? Really, the onus needs to be on the builder to put that in.
Right, when they sell
The
the,
homeowner's gonna have that extra cost.
yeah, when they sell the lot, there either needs to be something in place saying they will build a house, and if they're not gonna build a house, they need to put the sidewalk in. Right, so I don't know, we gotta somehow figure out how we're gonna do that so we don't run into this anymore.
So when it transfers from the builder to the owner, homeowner, private owner, like this, then that's when you have
I think
that.
whether they build a home or not,
Yeah.
that's, hey, Brandon,
Yep.
have you kind of followed this discussion a little bit? You have any feedback on it?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think you guys are on the right track. Nobody likes to build, the sidewalks before the houses, because the house construction, you know, demolishes the sidewalks. I think that'd be a tough sell. And then in our development agreement, it does require that the developer is responsible for the homeowners to construct their sidewalks. That's tough for us to enforce, because the timeline, you know, gets extended. But I think you guys are on the right track of just saying, in a new subdivision, that adjacent property owner more than likely is going to be the one that built their sidewalk, for their house, so they're aware of that. So just put in your ordinance that within, you know, X amount of years of a subdivision being approved, the city will review, gaps within sidewalks, and if the lot is owned by the adjacent property owner, it has to go in if it's not actively being marketed, just to help clean that up on the back end. It's gonna be tough to do it on the front end.
Also, I think those are good points, and that's definitely something that we can take a look at revising.
Okay.
'Cause that will alleviate, if we do it on the back end, it will alleviate the 3 pictures we have here, the 3 properties that
Yeah,
are all owned by adjacent owners.
and then, sorry, go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, you could even say in there, once the subdivision is, you know, 90% full, you know, we'll review it, or, you know, X amount of years after the infrastructure is in, you know, if we get a down year and we're not, you know, selling any lots, so maybe we, you know, adjust that. But I think most people that buy a lot and then don't build on the adjacent lot for a monster lot, I think that we can look at putting a clause that they have to do it within a certain amount of time.
Yeah, Paul.
The last thing I just want to point out is I do believe we budget a certain amount of money every year for sidewalk maintenance and repairs and upgrades. So that kind of goes to what you were asking about Rochester. Now, maybe that's not as much as we would need to if we need to do some significant repairs, but I thought it was like 50,000 a year or something that we're setting aside.
Yeah, and typically those are for sidewalks that are not the responsibility of one of the property owners. So
Okay.
they're, for example, like I know off of the dump road, there was like some 8-foot sections that weren't done between where the property line ended and the trail, the Sunset Trail is. So that's typically where they would go in and they would rebuild that, you know, because who's gonna pay for it?
And then
The
it's also
developer didn't, and
for repairs too.
for repairs.
Or next.
I mean, I'd be open to, though, we've talked about it before at council level, like, you know, what is an equitable way to get this done? If you're the property owner saying, hey, I can't get a contractor in here to just do my little sidewalk. Now, I know in the case, in this area, one of the residents did it himself, which is great. Not every resident necessarily feels
Mhm.
comfortable doing that. You know, what kind of split or what kind of funding mechanism? We've looked at doing petition waiver, where somebody can have that cost, you know, amortized over 15 years, and they don't have to worry about, you know, doing it then. And then they also would have the credit if the road would be rebuilt. Because that's a question we get, you know, what if the road gets rebuilt in that time? Well, if you've paid for it, then you don't have to pay for it again.
Mhm.
You know, it's not, you're not getting doubled up on then, because we don't want to have that. So, I mean, there's some ways to do it, and that could be one where, when we put that money away.
Yeah,
And we say, okay, we didn't spend it this year, we're gonna put that in its own silo, that's gonna be money we can use towards matching somebody's contribution towards
Yeah.
helping to rebuild their
So we're
sidewalk.
already levying for sidewalks, you know, maybe we just look at,
And,
is that the right amount? Do we adjust it?
Sure.
So that we can kind of hit all around the town.
well, and then the discussion I had with Charlie on Public Works also is, he said, fixing the sidewalks, it's hard to find a contractor that will do it, because a lot of them don't want to do these little one section here, one section there. He goes, so it's really, really hard to find somebody that is willing to do it. He goes, until we get a big enough area for them to do it. And he goes, and even then, it's hard, because it's in different sections of town. He goes, most contractors want a big project, they don't want these little, so he said, so he goes, we can budget for it, he goes, but it's hard to get it done.
But we talked in the past about sort of adding it on when we're working on street
Yes,
reconstruction.
and that's what he's been trying to do, and it's helped.
Right.
And he's worked with a couple of the contractors that are doing projects that have their own sub that will come in, but that's one of the hard problems too. And Rochester has the same problem.
Yeah, I bet.
So, we wanna look at changing the ordinance on how when a property is sold to adjacent property to a homeowner, but they don't develop it within a certain time, that's what we wanna look at.
Yeah, I think so. Ian, is that something we could take a look at, and maybe bring back something back for, in August for the council?
Because Brandon, yeah, that's kind of what Brandon was stating, and
Yep.
get a good way of,
Alleviates the future problem as developments continue.
we'll wait for you to bring that back, Ian. Next, your first half, excuse me, finance report in the packet.
So there's two sections there. We've got our monthly update on the state of the finances, or the state of the income, and you also have the first 6 months of the year, with a focus on expenditures. And Sarah's here, if there's any questions you have on that. I know the revenues look a little wonky. There are some things that she's working with still, with the audit team and the Smith Schaefer to, you know, they're not affecting operations, but they affect the balance sheet on the software, the accounting software. But expenditures-wise, I mean, overall, we're tracking, I think. Sarah, if you want to talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, if you have any questions, I mean, there's 54 pages, so I'm not gonna go through it.
I mean, is there anything that is looking like it might be challenging on our budget for the rest of the year?
No, I think, we're just doing department head meetings right now for budget for 26, and so we sent everybody the 6 months, and Tim and I have gone through over half. We've got-
I mean, so far, I think budget to year is tracking pretty much on where we would expect it to be. You know, we got the first reimbursements for the Southwest Reconstruction Project, which was good, because that's a cash flow project we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and it affects our borrowing sequence this year. But I know we've been doing I think Sarah's been doing a good job with cash flow management, working with Bremer, and Bremer got bought out, so we don't know if that's gonna go with the new bank. I think it's Old National, so there's maybe some hiccups there, but,
They pretty much just assured we would get get the same interest rate and things like that on what we have.
Yeah, and then the other thing, we did just receive, I think yesterday, you received the first half tax
Yeah.
check, not the settlement yet. The county's got a new finance director this year, and we're working with Kevin up there to try and make sure that we have the breakdown that we need to have. But as I said, I think right now things are tracking about where we'd expect it to be for year-to-date.
All right, thank you. Next, new business, the POS sump pump ordinance.
Ian and Linda, you want to discuss this one a little bit? I wasn't at that meeting.
Actually, it came to us from WHKS. Brian put this together for us. They want to keep up on the sump pump, ordinance. So this would be an ordinance, the form's in there, it would, anytime anybody bought a property, it would trigger an inspection. Because that way, even if it got inspected now, if somebody took their pump out or only fixed it for the inspection, it would have to be inspected again. So that's what this is all. And we're trying to figure out too how much work it's going to be, how much time this is going to take. They had this huge spreadsheet with every property in town, and to try and keep that spreadsheet up, we were thinking there might be a better way to do it. So this is just a first look. We're still hammering out the details. And we would love any input that you have.
What, excuse me, what kind of fee is there gonna be? Is it?
Fee?
Yeah,
Well, I think the way it would work, and the intention is, you know, the city spend a lot of money on getting everyone's sump pumps inspected, right?
yes, which was a fee.
The goal is to have this done internally by city staff, or by a plumber if the person chose to do so, but, you know, we would provide that staff, there wouldn't be a charge from us, in order that when this house is, just like, I don't know, similar to what the county does with septic systems. When you buy a house in the country, your septic has to get inspected, there's the county comes, or they hire someone to come and inspect that. Be similar here, where probably 99% of the time, it's gonna be a 5-minute, okay, yep, you're good. We wanna try and find those ones, or avoid getting into a spot where we're back where we were 5 years ago, when we had a lot of people running into the sewer system.
Mm-hmm.
We figure it'd be the same thing too, as new houses, there's a tracer wire. So when they need the tracer wire inspection, they call us, we schedule something with the water department, and they just go out, take a look, and sign off. So this would be real similar to that.
So,
We have a calendar that we could even schedule a time, and it just goes straight to the water department. And like water meter replacements, they get that calendar, they know when to go. So we were thinking that might work a little better. I don't know, Brandon, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I think you guys summarized it pretty good. This was a previous council and this council direction after the flooding in 2019. This is relatively a new thing for cities. In southeast Minnesota, we just developed kind of the same program with the city of Austin, experiencing similar I-9. I think you're gonna see it in other communities moving forward. But yeah, I think how we do it is, I think, as staff, more discussion, and how do we get it done and efficient with it. The only thing I think the council to consider is, you know, this is going to put, you know, certain homeowners that buy a house, you know, they're responsible for the sump pump inspection. If it's in non-compliance, they're gonna have to get it in compliance, and that, you know, push back, you know, just like we did on any project or our previous sump pump program. But I think keeping this sump pump program essentially maintained, you know, in theory right now we have none, right? If we just did the program, it's pretty easy to tweak your sump pump and put it back into the sanitary sewer. So the point of sale is gonna kind of maintain that system, and maintain compliance across the city, because we know how critical the I-9 is. So I think how the staff does it, we can work on that and tweak it. I think looking at the ordinance and knowing that putting the teeth in the ordinance is always, you know, can be problematic, but I think it's a new thing that we're gonna be seeing more and more, and a needed thing.
so how long is the inspection good for? Because this flow chart says the owner selling the property should get the certificate of compliance, which, you know, if they don't know about it, you guys might not even be alerted until you get a records update, and by that point, there's a new owner, but
This
if...
is where the utility department comes in, because they call to, transfer utilities,
Yep,
which would be a trigger for us.
okay,
We've brought Jessica, the utility billing person, in on this, and she sat in, when we were talking about it, and she had some suggestions as to how she thought it should work too. So, you know, that would be the main trigger.
okay. But at that time, it's already a new owner, right? Now, I would assume that we would try and reach out to local agents to, like, inform people about this change that we're doing, right? So that the agents can then inform their buyers and sellers that it's gonna be coming, because nobody likes getting surprised after they buy a house, right? So I guess, if somebody was selling a house, they could say, oh yeah, I've got my I&I compliance cert, but, right, so if they did it, how long would it be good for as the seller before a transaction occurs, if that makes sense?
Brandon, what were you thinking on that?
Yeah, that was gonna be a year. That's laid out in the ordinance. I believe it should be in the ordinance, it's not, but yeah, that'd be a year, so if you're selling your house, you would get the compliance within that, you know, part of your closing. And I think where Mr. Mayor Johnson was going was if there's a new buyer that is not aware of that, then they're gonna say, well, I wasn't aware of it, and ultimately it was a private issue because the seller was responsible for it, and they could take it out privately. So we came in and bought this house, I want to transfer utilities, and we said, all right, well, you don't have a compliance, so if you got 30 days to get it done, is our ordinance, and then you're gonna go on the non-compliant list after the 30 days or 90 days, whatever we set for a timeline.
So it's 30 in here. Yeah, I think it says 30 days in the ordinance right now. And the other part too, all you have to do is, when, you know, people are selling houses, buying homes, 90% get home inspections. The home inspector's gonna, you know, that's gonna be something they're gonna start, once they...
I think the biggest thing for us
We
is
gotta let 'em know.
communicating.
No, yeah,
you know,
but I mean,
to people.
once one home inspector does one and he knows this new ordinance and new code, he's gonna tell all the other home inspectors. That word's gonna get fast, 'cause they ain't gonna wanna have to, you know, and they're gonna look for it too themselves then. So, you know, and we tell them, we start putting it out to the builders, inspectors, I think it'll...
Yeah, and I mean, this process is not intended to, you know, create extra work. Like I said, most of the time, our staff's gonna be able to go in, they're gonna be able to do it quickly, and it'll be easy.
Yeah, and again, I think it'll depend on the fee, how much pushback, right? Like, it's,
Well, you're gonna have that no matter what, obviously.
you know,
I mean, unfortunately, we do still have some, we do have some residents who are on that list, and every month they're
Absolutely.
paying a fee, and we contact them, you know, hey, you know, and it's their choice at some point to do it or not do it, you know. Well, all right, we will take that feedback, and I think we'll probably bring this back. I think, are you thinking next month, or do you wanna bring in September?
I don't know. Brandon, did you think we can get it done by August?
Yeah, I think the ordinance is probably fine. I don't know if the city council needs to see all the forms and all that, because really the ordinance is what we need to change.
Okay, so we'll plan on maybe in August then.
Yep.
Right. Thank you. Administrators report? All right. All good?
I'll run through a couple things. Well, hey, if we can avoid any more pop-up thunderstorms, hopefully we'll be all right. We've got a month left on the pool, so hopefully that, you
Hope
know...
we get some warm weather?
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool tomorrow, but I'll run through what I've got here. The economic survey from Ready, as you remember, we're members of the Ready group, so they provided this information to us. Obviously allow the feedback from the bankers and some of the businesses in our areas. Interest rates are causing problems with economic growth. We know that that's something that we have that's out of our control. Some park and rec updates there. The modular update with the weather we've had has been slowed. Obviously, that's to the mayor's point earlier about, you know, they're gonna get back to those stumps. I'd like to see them get that modular finished before, you know, summer's done. They've been slowed by a lot of the other time constraints they've had. However, and I think that'll work. We also have a good amount of fundraising for the inclusive swing and inclusive park equipment. So hopefully we'll be able to add some additional equipment if the funding allows for that. I've talked a little bit about that Dodge Housing project there. There's new state funding for EMS, so that's a plus. So I've included their part of their audit presentation they had for their in Dropbox, so you can see how that performed for Dodge Counter Ambulance. And then the league conference I attended, and Councilman Wapner attended as well. There were some really good sessions. There was a ton of people. There's more people than I remember being at that. There were some sessions I wanted to get into, and there was no seating, so it was kind of, there were some of the ones that I went to were not as useful as other ones, but a couple of them were interesting. I talked a little bit about that cannabis in my write-up there, and I won't read through all that, but I think if we need to provide some additional flexibility for our zoning, I think that the league stance is that the public health component doesn't necessarily restrict the city on zoning as much as maybe they feel like it does. So I don't know if we want to be the test case that goes to court over that, but that was the staff attorney from the league that presented that. The other one was interesting. The folks up in Fergus Falls there, they do this democracy program, which I thought was interesting, and from the perspective of getting people talking. I think sometimes we have a lot of maybe social media discussions that aren't necessarily people who come and engage in person, which I think is a lot of benefits and has a lot of help for people when they understand where somebody else is really coming from. It's helpful for them to know that, and we don't always get that. And then the folks from Southeast Minnesota Together, there are a lot of big things going on there. Possibility of looking at this RDO, this Regional Development Organization. I'm not sure, that may take some time. Big Iron Classic, Chief Hansen, myself, the mayor, met with representatives from Big Iron, from the county, talk about some of the issues that came up last year that have come up before about cleanliness and alcohol and things like that. So I think just having those meetings are probably positive. We all can get on the same page, and I'll appreciate Josh's feedback and that sort of stuff. Minnesota paid leave is coming up quick. It's going to be 0.88 this year. It can go all the way up to 1.1, which I expect it to go to 1.1 probably very quickly. I think the state probably is underestimating the cost of this program. We're expecting to split those costs between the employer and the employee. So that's something we'll be budgeting for also. Basically, we take the entire year's salary, and we can figure out what that number will be by multiplying it out, and Linda has got those reports. She can do that. So other than that, I've got a couple other items in the packet I'll just sort of run through. Let's see here. We've got, I think I discussed this earlier with you, we have an assignment agreement from the folks in Wyndham. With the additional houses we're taking on, we have additional power needs. So we're going to be assuming part of the contract they have for NC2, which is Nebraska City 2, which is a coal-fired power plant down in Omaha. The other one would be a WIPI contract. We're currently WIPI members. We have about 2 megawatts we get from a nuclear plant over in Wisconsin. So we're assuming those will help cover our power needs for that additional 300 houses on the south side that's currently in Peoples territory, as well as we have some substantial residential additions that are, new builds. We have 50-unit complex here, 40-unit complex on the north side. You've got 80 single-family homes with Bigelow, and then 120 units up at Schramm. So potentially over the next couple of years, we'll be adding a lot of. The nice thing is that these both have a little bit of capacity, which by buying these contracts, we should be able to lower our capacity costs just a fraction. So, just got that for you for informational. Moving forward, hopefully that'll be a plus for us. It's a 5-year contract. At that time, Wyndham would reassume those and reevaluate. Other things I've got in there, I've got some feedback from how we did last year with our energy efficiency and rebates. You can see that there was some pretty good numbers last year of participants and the overall spend. The number of kilowatts saved that we had in the city by providing those rebates to residents. I know a lot of folks utilize it for energy efficiency with appliances and their nested thermostats, things like that. Total, I think we had $60,625 in terms of our total 24 total spend. And a big chunk of that went into commercial, $33,071, and then another big chunk went into the the rebates for low-income, residents to help them with, energy efficiency, about $18,777. So, just, it's always good to see, where's that money going? It's going to help folks with energy efficiency. I mentioned those Dodge County ambulance financials, and I think that is what I've got tonight. I'll go after any questions anyone has.
Did the Dodge County Sheriff's Office indicate what's changed from previous years that they cannot support as well during our Big Iron Classic?
They indicated that their staff time was going to be wholly taken up in Manorville.
As it has been every year.
Every year. So this is a conversation they tell us every year.
Yeah.
So that's not different, okay?
No, it's,
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good conversation with them, and the sheriff's deputy who was here was very affable, and, I mean, I'm sure they'll support us as much as they feel that they're able to do from their leadership.
We'll have additional staff, I assume, since it's their 25th year anniversary?
I don't know what it is, but...
25th?
Is it 20th?
I think it's 25th.
25th, so it's a bigger one.
I know they did mention that they would try to swing by more often, because they do have officers on patrol if they're free, and walk through and work with Josh, and they're gonna set up some portable cameras, is that what it was?
Yes.
So they were working on locations for those, so they were more beneficial, and then they have a security guards there. I think they're gonna staff 18 people. That is a private security company on the fairgrounds, and we're gonna work with them, our officers in the county, and we're gonna work with them there, see if we can alleviate some of the people leaving the grounds.
The other thing we talked about was they're gonna expand their area for cleanup at the end,
Yes.
more into the school property. I know that was one of the residents or teachers that came last year that had a concern. So, I mean, that was one of the biggest things for us, is making sure all the glass and bottles and cans and things like that get picked up off the school grounds, so...
So hopefully that will alleviate that issue, and we will be working on, we've informed them, and I think we're working on maybe making a flyer to show them the ordinances of what a DUI, motorized golf cart is, DUI. So we're gonna work on handing those out to everybody there and reminding them, and we will be enforcing them.
Yeah, I just think more like as a coach, you leave the locker room cleaner than when you walked into it. When you leave town after a big event like this, you leave it just as clean, if not cleaner, than what you saw when you came in.
So it sounds like the staff is gonna work with groups to clean up better, now that they know more, so. So I think it was a good meeting.
Yeah.
So. All right, next, let's see where we're at here, sorry. Engineers report.
All right, well, thank you, guys. Two things tonight. The first one is Trump County 57 LPP project professional service agreement. Previous council actually applied for LPP funds to improve Highway 57 from 11th Street, Houston, that area to the north up to the 16th Street roundabout. So this project would urbanize that to a 3-lane to match that section of roadway we built to the south in 2022. We didn't really have any interest in doing that until we had some development pressure there on the Trudy Drown property, so we were aware of those funds to ultimately meet MnDOT's expectations on that roadway, so we get another road access there to facilitate development. There is another third party, Mr. Bigelow, and Bigelow owns the property, and they're also interested in developing once the first phase comes off the highway there. So that's what this project is for. It's going to be all the way through construction admin, working with MnDOT, getting MnDOT approval, and getting it constructed. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Do you have an idea of what year, potentially?
Yeah, we got funding in 26, 27, and 28. So I think we start plans now, and then we see how aggressive Schwab and Schuy are with their development, and when they're looking at, other phases. They've eagled, they want to maybe go all the way to the highway here in short timeline. They're talking to some commercial entities, so I think we need to get going on the plans and then see what their schedule looks like. And then MnDOT said if we do make a request to get all of our funding in, like, say, 26 or 27, more likely 27, that they would work with us on trying to shift some funds around to make it happen. They want to be flexible with us. But we could wait also until 28 if needed, so, kind of open right now. We just gotta get things going and see how things shake out probably through the winter and see how Strong's doing and see if he's got any development pressure there.
Okay, thank you. Any other more questions for Brandon? Not, we need a motion, right? I would take a motion to approve this professional service agreement.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mel. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ryan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, oh, go ahead.
Yep, I guess I'll take over for you, Mayor. Next item is a resolution to award and approve the bid for the 16th Street Northwest Extension. That will be the extension where the road ends now out to the Dodge County dump road there. So you can see we bid that on July 3rd. You can see my engineering estimate is about $1.9 million. The low bid of Fitzgerald Excavating, almost $1.6 million there, so you can see we're slightly under where we're at our engineering estimate. We did receive $1.5 million in funds from MnDOT through the LPP program to construct this roadway. And then we could also use municipal state aid funds if we're short anything, but as you can see there, we're going to be about right on for the funding of the project. There is a few $100,000 of the concrete turn lane to go to the west for the future subdivision to the west, future 16th Street going to the west, so we negotiated with the developer to construct as part of his housing subdivision. That is not going to be eligible, so that will be a cost that will be outlined for the city, so it's not eligible for these funding. So, good bids, a lot of bidders as you can see, so he's looking for a resolution to approve the bids for this, and completion date is this construction season, so we'll have it up and running by fall.
Fall as in before September? No, after.
Yeah,
Just teasing you.
it'll be probably, over November deadline. I don't know what the exact deadline, if it was November 1st or
15th, I think.
November 25th
Yeah,
around
it's the
there.
15th.
Just to be aware to communicate with the transportation department at the schools about that.
Oh, were they expecting it?
No, they had asked a month ago, and I assumed November, so I was just teasing you, Brandon, sorry, but they had asked, I said it probably wouldn't be through until November.
Gotcha, okay.
So, looks like we had good bids, so if we have no more questions, I would take a motion to approve a resolution awarding and approving the bid for 16th Street Northwest Extension to the Fitzgerald Excavating.
Make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Ryan. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, that's all I had for tonight.
All right, thank you, Brandon.
Yep, thanks.
Up next, personnel.
So as you may recall, we had a resignation of the city cleaner. Linda went out and posted for the job, and she received a couple of really good applicants, and I think after reviewing it, we're looking at Kathy Steinkamp. We're looking at hiring her for custodian grade 2, step 6 at $21.63. And I think you met with her already, Linda, and kind of showed her around and...
Yep, we went out to all the buildings and everybody showed her what they wanted cleaned and, we
She
should
would-
be able to get it done in, probably less time than what the last custodian
Yeah.
was putting in.
She would also be assuming the cleaning at the fire hall, though, also.
Yes.
So that would be a change, so we'd have one custodian, not having two staff people doing that then.
You get both my questions answered now, so I was just gonna ask. The hours and that, so. All right.
And that's including the fire hall. She will have less hours than the last custodian had.
And he was around 20 on a good season,
Yeah,
and then a little more,
he was usually right around between 18 and 20.
she,
She should be about 15.
okay, nice. As long as her level's up to what we expect, it'd be awesome, so. Okay, I would make the motion myself to hire Kathy as our custodian. Do we have a motion? We have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Just a note, I mean, it would be pending, I think
Background.
Josh has got her with fingerprinting, because she will have access to some of those sunset locations, so.
Sure.
If something changes, then we'll let you know, but it'd be pending that, but otherwise, yep.
Up next, attorney. No, nothing, okay. Any questions about correspondence?
The agenda that is printed here doesn't have 7 on here, but I guess I just, I was reading through this, health insurance, stuff, and I guess I just wanna say that, I kind of agree with some of the points that, Mr. Stafford here made, and, I guess I'd just like staff to kinda review our options and see what we could do maybe for next year.
Well, I think we do have that, council action sheet in there, so we did go back and look at PEEP, which is one that we've used in the past. I think we were looking at 17% higher premium than we currently are, and we would be locked into a 4-year contract. So staff feel like that would be maybe a poor choice, just because within that 4-year contract, they'd be able to make any increases they wanted, we wouldn't have any control. But we absolutely we'll be working with Bill Singer on, making sure that we try and find the best option as we have in the past, the most cost-effective. Some of the other items that Mr. Stafford referenced, there are collective bargaining items, percentages on, paying for health care, something that we can certainly look at during the collective bargaining process if we want to make alterations to that. I do think that healthcare is sometimes a differentiator. It allows you to keep good staff too, is by making sure that you're taking care of your employees in that way. But certainly something that, I appreciate the time he put into researching those items for us. And we will be looking at the deductibles this year as well. It's possible those deductibles will go up. We want to make sure that's the best benefit for the city in terms of cost effectiveness. As those deductibles go up, the HSA contributions also go up. So we want to make sure that the net difference between increased HSA contributions and premium contributions go higher deductible, lower premium, but is that going to net out enough to make it worthwhile for us? So I know that's something Linda will be working with them. We're thinking October. Usually it's the first week of October we get numbers. I've talked to a lot of the other thing is, so talking about healthcare, so there is that, as I mentioned earlier, there is that state program, that paid leave program. With right now, the state's going to be sponsoring a program, but a lot of other cities are going through private vendors for that. So I think that's something Linda will be looking at and evaluating with Bill, whether we're better off going through the state system or we're better off going through a private vendor. The plus to a private vendor is much faster return for the employee. So the way it would work is, we don't actually, somebody goes on paid leave through the state program, the city doesn't have anything involved with it. It's a direct, because we're paying it through the tax deduction on their check. I mean, every employee in Minnesota is going to see this, so, I mean, you're going to see it at the school. I'm sure the schools have been talking a lot about it, because it's a big extra cost for them. And frankly, the state has not sent any rules out on how they're going to make this work, so they have we're 6 months out, and we really have no idea how it's going to work. But some of these private companies have already done it in other states, so they already have similar plans of how it would work. The nice thing about a private vendor is that it's immediate, like, you're going to get a check as an employee right away, whereas the state has said they're going to be up to 2 weeks to 3 weeks lag between when someone goes on paid leave when they would get their first payment from the state. So anyway, absolutely, good point, I appreciate that, and, we're thankful that we have residents who are looking out for us too, so.
With PEEP, they can raise it 49% without...
That was one of the reasons we switched from PEEP. The last year we were in PEEP, they were looking at a 50% premium increase. And a lot of it for us just has to do with utilization. I mean, we have had high utilization over the last 5 years. And some employees have retired who are higher users, but, it is what it is. Healthcare insurance is what it is. It's, we pay for it so that we have that coverage for folks when they have an issue. So.
And I'm on our insurance committee at the school, and they've talked about how we've actually used it less. We've gone to the doctor less as a pool, but it still went up. So it isn't 100% uses, it's just they want to make their money.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely both sides of it. I mean, they're looking to make a profit, and utilization component is definitely, unfortunately for us, like the co-ops, like Southeast Co-op, they don't really want us as a client because we have a higher risk profile than they really want in their pool.
Yep.
Otherwise, sometimes the co-ops are really good because you're spreading that risk over a larger area. We're self-insured. It's just the city of Casson. It's just our risk pool, and so it's a smaller number. So one person having an issue or having cancer or something like that can be an outsized impact on the overall effect of the thing. So.
Okay. Roundtable. 2026 Independence Day celebration.
Well, this is one I thought of for Roundtable. Just thinking about it, it is 250 years next year, and this is not something we have to deal with a lot tonight, but it just put it in your mind, like, is there anything we wanna do special for the city? Do we wanna do fireworks extra or something like that, that we should be thinking about as a budget item to celebrate? You know, we don't really do fireworks in Casson for the 4th. I know the fair does it, we do it in August for the festival. That was my first thing, was like, well, do we wanna do a special 4th of July? I'm guessing that next year, a lot of cities will be doing fireworks shows on the 4th, so it might be a little more expensive, but just putting it out to you guys as a council, I know the federal government will probably, you know, blow the doors off and they'll somehow blow up Mount Rushmore or something like that, but, accidentally, but,
There might be,
I hope not, but you never know, but just something to put a bug in your ear, but
Yeah.
think about, you know, is there something we wanna do extra, 'cause, you know, how often do you get to celebrate that? I probably will not make it to 300 years for the nation, unfortunately, but, you know, maybe I will, maybe I won't, but, that was one thing I thought of for around people.
Just remember, there'll be plenty of private citizens having their own 250.
That is true. Caston is well-known for private citizens enjoying the fireworks display.
You haven't noticed them over this
You know,
year.
As long as it stops at 10 o'clock at night, I don't complain too much, but I just wanted, that was one thing I thought of over the 4th holiday, just think about it. If there's something you think would be you know, I don't know. I think we have to celebrate it.
A golf cart parade?
We can have a parade
A
then.
golf cart parade, that, I go up north every year, so we're not usually around, but the resort we go to does a golf cart parade. And with how many people that have golf carts and side-by-sides in town,
Decorate 'em.
it would separate itself from like the festival and the park parade, because that's very different,
Right.
but
Well, I mean, that's the kind of thing that doesn't even have to cost a lot either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. We can get the school involved, you know, get the kids out there playing music or
If
something.
you
I don't
got,
know.
if you got, people, if they're sticking around town, you could have like a little kiddie parade, where the kids can walk from one little area to another, and they can dress up their selves and their bicycles and wagons, and then maybe the city works with them and gives them slushies or little
Flag.
freeze pop or flag or something, you know.
I think if I remember correctly, reading the Tale of Two Cities books and a couple of the other local history books, they did do like a big kid parade in '76. And lots of folks dressing up in sort of colonial style stuff. But if you wanted to look through some of the history things, they did kind of blow the doors off.
Sure. I mean, I was just thinking, it was like, you know, it would be interesting to see what ideas, and maybe some people from the public would have ideas too. So we may even put that out there as a, hey, you know, what is the Casson community interested in? We want to collaborate with the school. That's obviously something, keep the kids involved. But anyways, just something I was thinking about.
You can ask the county, maybe
Yeah, that would be fun. Number 2 is Linda's. Right, Linda? I give you credit for that one.
Well, we've had a request, that somebody wants to do, I think it's called car tips, and they want to do this, it's male doing it, and they want to do it through the fire hall. Do you know what?
It's part of the police department too.
Are they?
It's car fit.
Car fit, that's
Yes.
it. And they want to use the fire hall to be able to drive through. And what we rent out is the community room. Then I did find out that a couple of the places that rented the community room used the garage, and the fire department let them use the garage because they were selling alcohol. They had a permit to sell alcohol during that. So, but when I talked to Joe, it's like, now it's gonna cost us to have somebody down there moving all the trucks out, waiting for them, moving all the trucks back in, and he said they're gonna have to have at least 2 or 3 people, because out in the garage, you have access to everything. So do we want to rent out the garage? Do we want to allow that? Do we want to allow it when the fire department is involved? How do we want to handle this?
What is the event?
It's to make sure people are properly seated in their car and seatbelted up, so they're not like too close to the airbag, just to teach them how to be properly seatbelted in.
Public service.
Like, it's usually older folks that are like sitting too close to an airbag and don't realize the damage that's going to cause. And so one of our officers is one of the car fit inspectors, and what they do is, the male kind of spearheads it, but they go around different communities and they organize these events, And so people, they sign up to come in and do it, so they come in, and so they get their time slot. They like a building that they can drive through, because sometimes somebody might take longer, so they can just keep them going. So we talked about doing it at the police department, but it's hard, 'cause we don't have a drive-through.
Would this be a one day, so many hour?
Yes.
Maybe a 2 to 3 hour
2 or 3?
thing on one day.
So, it would be beneficial for the fire department, they could make it a training for their members to be there, 'cause it would be beneficial for them if there's people having issues with airbags, 'cause they're going first responders. So I would think the fire department,
This is gonna be during the day, so I don't know how many.
fire departments really miss?
but maybe you can get, they can move the vehicles beforehand. I mean, it's something we could talk to them about.
We found another location for this time, so.
Oh, okay.
So it's more of a discussion for future type.
Yes, and it's because they do it at other fire departments, other cities allow it.
Well, and then she also asked if we would, get rid of the fee. So, and just let them do it, and I told her I didn't think that would go, because every other nonprofit, we've charged. So that's a question that they're gonna have too.
Is there a grant for this?
And with this part of what the police department is doing too, it's part of it, we do a car seat checks, we do car seat inspections, and we do car fit checks. So,
Originally, our hope was to put the police department in this building, back when we had the EMS meetings. I don't see why the police department couldn't run an event out of the fire hall. It's a city function. I don't think we should have to rent it to our police department for them to use it if they're working in tandem. Personal opinion there.
Well, these are some things we can need. When would you need it for next year? 'Cause obviously you said you already got it covered.
See, this year it's September, so I don't know when they'll do it next year, if they'll come back every year when they're gonna do it.
So we got some time to discuss it, but, you...
We're interested in your feedback, because we do get these requests, and, do we have a separate fee for utilizing the garage too? I think that's what Linda's looking for, some guidance from
Yeah.
council. There's always something more that seems to come up with this building. so.
Nonprofits aren't part, I know that the festival had come to us about it, but again, they're still separate from the city. This is a different situation with the police department asking for this space for something with the
Well,
police
I will say,
officer
it wasn't
running
originally
it.
the police department that came to us.
no,
They
it was,
weren't involved at all
No, I
until
would
right
say-
now, but,
Okay. But now that they're involved, I would think that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And it is a city building for city function.
we'll give the police department a discount, don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mayo, they do all the organizing, we provide an officer that knows how to do the inspections.
Yeah. Well, it's good
To
things
make
to
it-
think about.
Okay, well, I can talk.
And we can talk about this at another time too, just think about it, but there is places, or people then, because that Blaine Halverson Memorial wants to use the garage again next year. So, are we going to charge them extra? If they still have the firemen there selling alcohol?
We don't, they were.
Because the firemen, so they're taking on that initiative as the fire department, fire relief, and the fire department to sell the alcohol, so they're taking the initiative to move all the equipment and to maintain it, and that's why
And they're gonna be there.
they're gonna be there, so, but on that note, the police are just as well certified to be in the fire halls, so the fire department would have to be
They're
there.
not gonna move the trucks.
What about,
Somebody still has to come in to move the trucks.
Which that means that we have hours that'll be wages to their salaries, so.
what about not this year, but next year doing it during Fire Safety Week? Because you already have the fire department doing different events within the fire hall, they're already moving things.
Yeah.
And that gives you enough time to plan and coordinate a whole day event where you're there for so long, you already have the fire department feel ready to do stuff. It's only a month away from that.
And I thought about recommending that for next year too, so.
Okay.
I think that would make a lot of sense, because they're already gonna be at the facility, so it would be kinda killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
So, and it is only a couple weeks difference in time. Okay, well, that's great feedback, appreciate that.
Thank you.
I do have one more item, and I was gonna mention during my report, but it's, dates.
Oh, yes.
One second, Tim.
Yeah, go ahead.
Linda, did we answer your question? I feel like you were trying to get away from the police issue of it and more wanting to know our opinions on if we should be renting the garage out,
That's exactly
period.
what I wanna know, is, should we be renting the garage out? What is the conditions, should we rent the garage out? You know, I did not know the police were involved in this either, but still, somebody has to be there to move the trucks in and out, you know. It wasn't, when we first did this, it was only looking at the community room.
Right.
So it
I
wasn't
thought they
looking
didn't,
at
I thought the fire
garage.
department didn't want people in the garage.
Right,
I
that was
thought
correct,
so.
but since they were selling alcohol for the function, then they made the exception for themselves.
Right, so maybe,
So there's no man-hours paying them. They're doing that,
Correct, correct. We do not pay those guys for being down there and selling the alcohol.
or moving the equipment or returning it.
They
no.
they don't have any
But
hours
they,
in for
but
that.
they still paid to rent the room.
They pay rent the room, and then
And then
the
the
fire
fire department
department,
chose to donate their time to that nonprofit event.
Because they had the
Because
alcohol
Fundraising.
permit and they were selling alcohol, so they were making money on that.
So,
So, do we still, even if the fire department is going to sell the alcohol, are we going to charge more to use the garage? Are we, and I know, I think it was Karen Share used the garage also.
Blaine
But
Halverson.
that was,
Yeah,
and the
that was-
Blaine Halverson one. But both times, the fire department were selling the alcohol, so they were there.
and
I think that we should not be renting the garage if the fire department wants to volunteer their time and their energy and their service, taking care of their equipment and their space, and making sure items don't walk out of their space and people aren't climbing up and down on the fire trucks so that we don't have a liability issue. I don't have a problem with that. I am really not comfortable with the idea of us renting the garage section with the equipment, and I'm just not comfortable with that. That, to me, creates way too much liability potential.
Okay, so do we, if that's the way we want to go, do we want to charge more for that area, or just charge the same thing? This year, I was not aware they were going to use the garage, so they were charged the community room rate.
I think Paul had something too he wanted to add.
yeah, I was just I say my thoughts were very similar to what Mel said. I'd say like, the garages should be based upon the full discretion of whatever the fire department says. Like, they can choose whether or not an event should be allowed in their garage, and then obviously they need to be there.
Right.
Somebody
They
from the fire
understand that.
department needs to be there. And I guess second on the price, I mean, we were trying to set the price to kind of make sense for what, like, cleaning and stuff would be, right? So like, this seems like a bigger space than the community room, but I don't know if the cleanup necessarily is gonna be any different, so I guess...
well, the firemen would be cleaning the
Right.
garage themselves.
Well, I mean, it's possible they would be. I mean, the heating and cooling is another thing I thought of, depending on, you know, 'cause, okay, let's say they open it all up, it's gonna be 100 degrees out, you know, the next, and we got, I mean, I know it's not a huge amount to run the AC for however long it's gonna be, but, I mean, there would be some cost to using that garage for that we'll see in our utility bills, you know,
Yeah,
so
it
just...
seems like a bigger space, it should probably have a little bit more, is my first take.
Well, I don't wanna bark up a dead tree, but the police chief was very concerned about the fire corps and how his department's overworked right now, and they might have to cut back on some of these events if they don't have this, and then they're going out and doing additional nonprofit fundraising through that facility. A whole different can of worms. So I don't really know where I was gonna go with that, 'cause it's just really frustrating. Like, you can't complain that we didn't approve your fire corps and then have events in that space, but say you're gonna have to cut down on doing other things within the community because you don't have this up and running yet.
But again-
Because we didn't know you were doing this. We didn't know you were,
And that's all I'm doing in this, I'm not
Yeah.
really taking a position, but I would assume that the decision to volunteer the space for Karen Share and for the memorial was a free choice that the firemen could make to participate or not
yeah,
participate.
and I support it 100%.
Whereas some of these community events are not so voluntary. They are part of their requirement as being part of the fire department.
What happens when we deny a group to come in and do the same thing that we've given the care and share, and,
We haven't given.
well, what if that comes up?
Well, I mean, I think you can't plan for every eventuality. I mean, if
Yeah.
it does come up, we have to deal with it at that point.
Yeah.
And I mean, if the fire department has a good justification for why they don't wanna allow the utilization, then I mean, I'm sure we would take that into account. You know, apparently from what Linda's saying, they felt like they could support those 2 events or 3 events that we've had so far. And, you know, we have to trust the discretion, I guess, to a certain degree, and, you know, it's on them to make sure that they're
So-
maintaining it.
Part of the cost, you're talking about the electric and gas, you know, for heating, cooling, lights. If we know a function is happening, we can read the meter
Sure.
the morning of and read the meter at the end. And if it seems a high amount due to heat or cooling, we could tally that in, you know, and, you know, maybe look at it and maybe add that as a cost and say, you know, there might be an added cost due to higher utilities.
I think the question would be, would the staff time then to deal with that outweigh the $20 we would get
I don't know.
from the
Well, the
person?
meter reading's easy. It's electronic. Click and you read it.
Maybe we should stop
The
there.
concern that the fire chief had was having people down there to move the trucks in and out, and then wait during the event, and then move the trucks back in. So, we would end up having to pay them, they get $10 an hour for meetings, calls. If we have 3 of them, it's for 3 hours, you know, there's $90.
But right now, if they're doing it and they're doing it as a volunteer,
Right, because
they're benefiting.
because they're benefiting from it, because they're selling the alcohol.
Well, these are some things to think about and bring back.
This is where, yeah, if they already have some place to go for this year, because that's what brought all this up,
Right.
is, you know, but, so we can think about it, we can talk about it again.
We can shoot any ideas you got to Tim and Linda, and then... To Linda, and then we get some more info, we can bring it back at a later date where we can discuss it more
Yeah.
and come up with answers, you know.
On my end, it's frustrating me because we were told when we set this up that they didn't want to rent that space out.
Right.
Okay, because they didn't want to have people around their equipment.
Mhm.
We planned all of this around what they asked for. And then it's selectively changed since then. Communication could be improved.
The selective part is the part that I struggle with a little bit, because I don't like to see picking winners and losers.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I don't want to happen. If
Well,
any
I mean, I think,
nonprofit
you know, I'm planning on having, you know, the fire chief come and talk about his budget in September too, so this would be an opportunity to discuss it with him again.
Be
You know,
nice
some
to
of
hear
the
from
questions
him.
we have, so. Okay,
Thank you.
all right, dates. So, I just mentioned it, you know, to you a little bit before. We may need to look, and I emailed out, I know, Brian, you've got a conflict that
Mhm.
week.
Running a
Mike
precinct.
Lubani is coming in, we usually have had his presentation in August, and the issue is that he has another conflict on the 13th, that would be, typically he would come at 5 o'clock, he would do his hour-long presentation, and then he actually would have our bond recommendations for us for the projects we're doing this year. That isn't gonna work for him, so, you know, I was looking at the 20th, that's why I emailed out to you guys, and I know Brian said he had a conflict, he's out of town, otherwise there was some flexibility. You know, we can look at other dates if we don't want to move it to the 20th. I know I mentioned before that Mr. Schrader, you might need a special meeting for him with the Castle Crossings PUD, maybe later this month even, if they can get their stuff together. You know, what are you thinking? What do you want to do?
I think it's a meeting you want to see. Anytime Mr. Bobani comes, it's important.
Yeah,
Would you rather just have
is it
it scheduled?
recorded?
It is recorded.
It is, the tough part is usually what he does is he'll actually put all
numbers.
of his information up on a screen, so you'll get a PDF afterwards of it, but it is beneficial to see it at least once. I mean, if you'd already seen it before, I probably wouldn't be as concerned about it, but I don't know, I mean, it's up to you guys.
It really is heavily beneficial to be able to see it while he's doing it, because I did one time, like, we were in North Carolina or something, and I called in to see the meeting. He is able to, he has this, like, magic spreadsheet.
He
and
will
he's
not
able
give
to
anybody
change
info on
things.
it either.
Yeah. So seeing it in
Proprietary,
real time
yeah.
is extremely beneficial.
Sure.
So, I mean, if we needed to change the date, and there's something that works for everybody.
Can you move it, instead of you said the 13th wouldn't work.
Well, so
Can you move it
when are
to
you
the
gone?
27th?
Just the whole week of the 13th.
Can you move it to the 27th? Still a Wednesday night.
Is the move the meeting to the 27th?
So we would have had a meeting on the 27th.
Yeah,
We would have
Or summer
originally,
start,
right.
we would have originally.
And I'm open to that, that's why I'm asking tonight if it works, because if it works for you guys, then I think that 27th, I think, we're hoping to have the ClearGov website live by the end of this month. I think we're very close on it, right, Sarah? So, we'll have that budget stuff. That'll be the big part of the meeting, will be budgets anyways.
I have an open house for the middle school, so I have to
Oh,
work.
is it that night?
It's the middle school open house. The last superintendents have let me leave early. I could talk to our new superintendent. I'm sure Beth would probably be okay with that. I haven't talked to her yet.
The other thing would be is if, we don't have to have a meeting on a Wednesday. If the 26th works, or the 15th, or, we just have to post that we're gonna be changing the time and the date. I'm flexible. You said Tuesdays weren't good for you, right, Paul?
Yeah.
But otherwise, like the 25th, I guess talk to the superintendent, otherwise I think we'd be looking at potentially moving it to the 25th or the 27th.
And that would be,
Still gonna have to have a special one for Schrader?
Possibly. I don't know that. That's kind of up to Ian, and E and Z.
Can we, and we're not making any decisions tonight, obviously, this is round table. Can you get a feel from Mr. Schramm of...
Mr. Schrader?
Schrader, I'm sorry, and when we can, if he has an idea, maybe we can pinpoint our meeting to work with his? Can you reach out to him and just see where we're at?
Yeah, I can reach out, for sure.
Because maybe we could set it off of his schedule, then see if it works with ours. Then we won't have to try to have two meetings.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think his is gonna be a special no matter what, because he isn't gonna be able to, he's not gonna wanna wait till the 25th or the 27th.
Right. But maybe he can work. And we
Oh,
can-
you're thinking earlier than that?
Yes, maybe we can move ours.
Well, if it's possible, could we set that August meeting for a different date, and then just preliminarily, so we can plan it, and then if we can get you guys the special meeting date, we'll let you know.
Okay.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Okay.
are we talking it would be a 6 o'clock meeting?
Yeah, well, 5 o'clock for the work session, and then, so what time on the 27th will you think you'd be able to get out?
3 to 6.
I won't be able to get out of it early.
Yeah, it was tough to get out last
I need
time.
that 25th look.
That works for me.
It's fine.
Does that work for you, Brian?
Yep.
Paul, that'd be okay for you? Well, why don't we look at August 25th preliminarily? Like, right now, we'll set it 5 o'clock work session, 6 o'clock regular meeting, and we'll have our regular content during the meeting like we would have if it was on the 13th. And then the stuff for Mr. Schrader, as soon as we know, we will let you know, and we'll kind of poll, maybe Ian can send out an email and poll what the availability looks like. And it won't be a long meeting for his PUD. That's, I say that now, but it should be, unless there are a lot, by the time we bring that to you, I expect it to be very complete. Right now, it's not, but Ian is pushing in pretty hard on a lot of things, so I would hope that could be a half-hour meeting. It doesn't require a public hearing, it's just, we've already had the public hearing, but it's a final plat, or final PUD.
I'll have to get back to you on the 25th.
Okay,
I don't know yet.
all right. Well, we'll set it for now, and then if it doesn't work, we'll figure it out.
All right.
Okay? Awesome. Thank you very much for the feedback, I appreciate it. I'm sorry about that. Schedules are always a pain in the butt, you know how that goes.
All right.
That's all we've got.
With that, I'd take a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion.
Thank you, Ryan.
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody.
A long one. Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Our wedding anniversary.